Welcome back, Shalloners. Today, I want to talk about Gigi Hadid's burgeoning romance with a dude from The Bachelorette and whether or not opposites attract, because we grow up hearing that opposites attract, but psychologists actually have very different thoughts on this, and I do too, which, surprise, surprise, I'm going to share. I'm going to break it all down and tell you the lessons we can take into our own lives from the latest start on one of our fave celebs. But first, just want to remind you guys that if you have a love question of your own and want to talk to me privately one-on-one, find me on the Instant Go app. My username is ShallonXO and click chat to get connected. Also follow me on Instagram where I let you guys weigh in on the next video topic and what you think about everything. My username there is ShallonXO as well. And be sure to listen to my new podcast, Girl on Top, where I answer your guys' best questions from the week. So Gigi has been on some like overnight fantasy suite dates with Tyler Cameron from Hannah Brown's season of The Bachelorette, which just wrapped up. So Hannah was actually on my flight out to LA last week. Like I flew out to California to see the fam. And I was like, you know when you see an outfit before you see the person who's in it? And you're like, what is that? It was this like, you know those sort of like yoga type jumpsuits? Like it looks like someone's gonna be like playing a didgeridoo, like if they're wearing it. It's like very floppy and flouncy. It's like a jumpsuit, like a onesie that's pants, but like hammer pants. So they have like a low drop crotch and a big saggy crotch. She was wearing that, but it was bright electric blue crushed velvet. It was like if the Dalai Lama and Elvis and Cher all came up with an outfit together. I was like, what am I looking at? And then I see like super done hair, super makeup, because she'd been in New York doing press for like The Bachelorette and how she like did not find love. No shit, girl. And I was like, Hannah? She's really cute. She's got kind of that like chipmunk, like, you know, little face, but like in a pleasing sort of way, very American looking. I like it. And she seems chill, like good for her for getting down in that windmill. Bone, girl, bone. Do it. But I gotta feel kind of sorry for her because she really wanted Tyler Cameron. It's weird when people have two first names, like Shallon Lester. Just, we're moving on. Anyway, I'm sorry. She really wanted him, and he's like, yeah, man, let's do it. So they had a fantasy suite date at her house. They smashed in LA. And then he goes to New York and has some dates with Gigi Hadid. Gigi Hadid, this is wild. And you know what it's wild? Why it's so wild? Because the Shallon Lester curse has struck again. Have you guys noticed that right after I do a video on someone, they break up? I'm like bad luck Chuck. Woe unto the celebrity who dares to star in one of my videos, for chaos shall rain down upon your house. Right, Zayn? Also, she probably got sick of like weighing more than her boyfriend. I don't know. If you ever hooked up with a guy who's skinnier than you, it's like a lesbian experience. And quite frankly, I'd rather have one of those because they're a lot of fun. So I'm not surprised that Gigi got sick of this. I am surprised that she like basically slid into this dude's DMs. So she started following him on Instagram like weeks ago. And I know she was like, hey, because it like made the news that she followed him. And I think he was like, oh my God, like Gigi Hadid has a crush on me. I'm going to shoot all the shots I have to shoot. And he's a hunky guy. I mean, he looks kind of doofusy, a bit of a wiener. You know, do you know what I mean? Just kind of a weenie. Like personality-wise, I don't think that he is, but just that face and like those ears. I have a thing about ears. If people have problematic ears, I am so out. I don't care what else you have. If you look like a Dumbo in other areas with the trunk, it doesn't even make up for it. But he is like hunky and beefy. He's from Florida. He's a contractor. And so people are like, a supermodel and a contractor from the OxyContin state of Florida. What? What do these two have in common? So I'm from California as well, and I love Florida. And I always think Californians and Floridians are kind of the same, but like California's sort of like big brother to Florida. Like we are what Florida could be if you guys would just, come on. Less guns and oxy and more like college and sunblock and normalcy. Just try to start there. Just try. But I love Florida and I go constantly. And so I do see similarities. It's the laid back lifestyle. They're very outdoorsy, blah, blah, blah. And if you hear Gigi Hadid talk, she's so Californian and her voice is so deep. She's like, yeah, I played volleyball. And you're like, holy shit, that is not the voice I thought was going to come out of you, but here it is. So I kind of feel like they're vibing in that sort of like sun-drenched beach bunny kind of way. But the larger question is, yeah, do opposites attract? And like I said, we are taught that they are, like it's the old adage, and I literally do not know who came up with that. No, actually, I'm pretty sure I do know who came up with it. A douchebag who was gaslighting a woman who was completely incompatible with this guy into believing that, no, this is actually how it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to feel. No, honey, you are supposed to clean up everything because I'm the messy one. Opposites attract. Woo, do the dishes. My laundry's dirty. I don't fucking think so. Psychologists have found that opposites, in fact, do not attract. Similarities promote bonding, and bonding obviously is the foundation to a solid relationship. But similarities, it's like, okay, well, what are the important ones and what are just the kind of like topical ones? Because we talk a lot about topics versus issues. The topic might be you never unload the goddamn dishwasher, all right? The issue, though, is I feel taken advantage of in this relationship, and I'm doing the most emotional and physical labor, and you don't appreciate me. And this dishwasher is emblematic of that, right? So which similarities really do matter? I've dated a lot of different types of people. Like, I don't really have a type. I date based on like chemistry and personality. And so my dating history is all over the place. I dated a dumpy, ugly lead singer. I dated a black professional hockey player. I've dated a lot of hockey players, actually. I dated like a K-pop star. I've dated just like, you're like, what is the similarities here? But the similarities are all personalities. You know, I like people who are intellectual and sort of outgoing. I like people who are adventurous in some sense, and preferably if it's in a way that I am not necessarily as adventurous. You know, like I want someone who's like really into cool different foods and cultures because I can kind of like stay in my lane in that and just like not really branch out. So I like someone who's going to get me out of my comfort zone, but we have the foundation of personality traits that line up. But what does that mean? Like what is a personality trait? What's a topic versus an issue? So I think in terms of okay, wait, I'm trying to organize my thoughts. Let's talk about when differences are good. You know, when opposite nature is good. Like I said, when it gets you out of your comfort zone. You know, if I'm a little bit more outgoing, it's really good for me to date someone who's a bit more grounded. I'm the wings, they're the roots. And that's how my ex-husband and I were. Like, he's very low key. He's not shy, and he's certainly not a beta male, but like he's like not at all. And a lot of people think that like low key people are beta, and they're not. And that's a huge misnomer because the world is not only alphas and betas, like at all. It's people just living their lives and doing their thing. Betas, it's a very specific pathology. It's people who want to be alphas, but they don't have the guts, or they're just mean-spirited, and so they try to tear other people down. You know, that's how you know a beta male. They're pack dividers, and alpha is a pack builder. But that's off topic. So my husband and I were like that. And I thought, hey, this is great. You know, like I'm going to get us out there, and he's going to like keep me home sometimes so that I don't have to go to all these social obligations. This is going to be a really good balance. We will provide a lot of balance for each other. And for a really long time we did. And then the pendulum kind of swung, and like it was a divide that grew between us. And I now know, looking back, that those differentials were too vast. My boyfriend now, we have very, very, very similar ways that we recreate. Our recreation is very compatible. If he feels like doing something, usually I do too. If he's like, I need a chill night at home, I'm like, me too, that's perfect. We like to travel to the same kind of places. We like the same kind of experiences and adventures, even sexually. We're both on the same page. So that's really crucial. So it's about, I have to put my hair up again. I'm sorry I keep getting so hot doing these videos. So it's about like, are the differences stimulating or are they divisive, right? Because if they're divisive, that's never going to change. And then you're going to end up in a standoff with this person, essentially, hoping that one person's going to change their mind, the other isn't. If he's not a super monogamous person and you are, if you're very religious and he's not, ugh. If you're ready for a family and he isn't, if you want to travel and he doesn't, ugh. These are things that are biorhythms, you know, and differences can be okay if everyone is willing to move a little bit outside of their comfort zone. And that's the key. If you have differences and you're like, hey, I'm willing to, you know, like I'm open-minded about what you bring to the table. Are you open-minded in reverse? And they're like, actually, no. And we all have certain things like that. I'm not particularly like outdoorsy. I don't camp. I don't like to hike. I don't like it. And I've never liked it. And I'm not ever going to like it. And if a guy's like, oh, you just haven't been camping with me. Do you know how many goddamn times I've heard that? I was like, no, I haven't. I've been camping with the United States Army. Okay. I did ROTC all through college. I know how to camp. I know how to dig a trench. I know how to dig graves and to bury landmines. I don't want your homemade jerky, Kevin. I don't want it. I had Uncle Sam's jerky. And I just know that's never going to change. And if that's something he needs from a partner, then that's a crucial differential. And I know that because I know myself. And this is where the knowing thyself comes in, because it really factors into everything, right? Like if you believe the opposites attract, that could be rooted in the fact that you don't know who you are, what you truly need, not want or want to need. You know, I want to need to be that outdoorsy girl. I would love it, but I know that that's not me. I know it's not. I'm a grown-ass woman. I've tried things. And I mean, I'm super adventurous in other categories, but I also know that like some things just aren't for me, and that's fine. But I also know the positive things I bring to the table. So here's what you do have to have going for you guys. Rhythms. I think a crucial question to ask somebody if you're afraid maybe you're too opposite is, how do you spend an ideal Saturday morning? Because that to me tells me a lot about a person. Are you an early riser? Do you want to be super active? Like, what do you view the weekend as? What do you view as recreation? And that might seem silly. Like I said, you know, with my boyfriend, like we recreate really well together. But once you've been in a relationship where you do not recreate, you know how divisive this is, because your idea of downtime might mean taking a bath, reading a book, doing yoga. His might mean a music festival over the weekend. And that's hugely different because that taps into two different things: introversion versus extroversion, how you spend money, whether or not you save money, all of that. And again, you can't know this until you just talk it out. This is what dating is supposed to be. You talk about these things, right? And like, I think we go into so many dating situations with this attitude of he's got to like me, he's got to like me. Do you like him? Are you guys even fundamentally compatible? Long-term relationships, or even like short-term ones, there's a lot of downtime. If you don't downtime in the same way, this is difficult. But there's something to be said for coming from completely different places and completely different worlds. Like, one of the most exciting relationships I've had, and I fell for him the hardest, was he was the black hockey player and he was in college. Joe. We're still friends. It's complicated. And people were like, Shallon, what do you have in common with this boy? Like, you're an adult. He's literally in college. Come on. And I'm like, but that's the thing. Like, we're in two completely different worlds. Our personalities, our sense of humors align, our political views align, the way we approach the world aligns, but all those other day-to-day things are different. And for me, that was really stimulating. Like, I don't want to hear about another office job when I'm working an office job. I had this meeting today and Brenda from accounting. I know, Dennis from so-and-so. I'm like, it becomes so repetitive. It's like, there's nothing new. It's boring. It's not stimulating. I would talk to Joe and he'd be like, oh, I learned about Charlemagne today and I built a table in wood shop and I scored 2 goals. And I'm like, wow. Like, I'm like, that's so different. That's so not what I'm used to hearing about. That's amazing. And he'd be like, whoa, you wrote an article, or you went to a party and you did this. And I'm like, yeah, that is cool, right? And it made me energized about my life. You know, it's like how I say gratitude cultivates gratitude. Mood is a muscle. And one of you guys said this in a comment, and now I'm going to have it tattooed on my body because I love this phrase. Mood is a muscle. So when I felt energized, I looked for more blessings in my life. I'm like, you know what? I am doing cool things. And he felt the same way. He's like, yeah, I guess it is cool that I built a table. That's pretty dope. I was like, it's amazing. Look at you. You're an athlete. And he's like, yeah, I guess I am. I'm like, that's great. So we brought a lot to the table. I mean, we eventually parted because, that's a whole other video. I can do one on it. He won't like it, but that's kind of a silver lining now, isn't it? So remember what one of my best friends, Diane, always says, and she's married and she's literally the only happily married person I know. She says, marriage is logistics. Love is logistics. And chemistry is not compatibility. And we forget that. We have to look at like day to day, do we do things the same way? Do we have the same views towards money, politics, religion, family, how we recreate, how we approach the world? Because if those issues are covered, then the topics, I like sushi, she doesn't. She likes country music, I don't. Those are easy to work out. And you can learn from each other because you're on the same foundation together, because you've talked it out and you've learned whether or not you are. So if you align on the biggies, the big things, and most importantly, like for a young woman, the future. If you're looking to get married by 30 and he's like 29 and like loving the bachelor life, marriage is logistics. He's not logistically on the same page. You can't just fall in love with the person, you have to fall in love with their circumstance too. So I think like looking at Gigi and Tyler, I think their lives are probably very stimulating for each other. Like he's hearing about all this stuff and she's hearing about like real life, like, oh my God, you built a house? And he's like, yeah. You covered Vogue? And she's like, yeah. You know, and it's really refreshing to have someone kind of put your life in perspective like that, because we get, especially as adults, we get caught up in the same just social circle. It's like accountants travel with accountants, models hang out with models. Like we're just all sort of like in our bubble. And it's really good to get that outside influence. I mean, isn't that what life's all about? Like learning and growing and experiencing different cultures and people and food and music and colors, for God's sakes. I need to branch out. No, I don't. I really like my color scheme that I have going on. But I want to know your thoughts on this topic. Have you dated someone, or are you currently dating someone who on paper, like wildly different, but somehow it works? Or vice versa? Have you stuck with someone who it seems like you should just like be completely simpatico with because, hey, look, we're the same religion, we come from the same town, we want the same things. Like, why isn't this happening? Tell me about your experience, and tell me if you think Tyler is eventually going to go back to Hannah, or if him and Gigi like have a shot. I'm kind of into this. Or do you think he's just like using her for clout? Why did all people on The Bachelor become influencers? It's just like an influencer machine. And yes, guys, I promise I will watch the next season. I can't believe you're going to do this to me. I hate that goddamn show. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to do videos on it because I love you. And if you love me back, follow me on Instagram at ShallonXO and click like and subscribe for 4 new videos a week. And like I said, if you want to talk one-on-one, find me on the Instant Go app at ShallonXO and click chat to get connected.